You know that feeling, right? We've all been there. You write some code, you're absolutely sure it's perfect, you hit run, and it just doesn't work. It's completely wrong. That moment of, wait, what? That's exactly where the real work and the real learning begins. So let's dive in and really master the art of debugging. This is the question, isn't it? It's the one thing every single programmer on the planet asks themselves probably every single day. Why isn't this thing doing what I told it to do? Well, finding the answer is a skill. It's a craft, really. And I promise you, getting good at it will totally change the way you code. So here's our game plan. We're going to go on a little debugging journey. We'll start with getting into the right mindset. Then, we'll look at our old friend, the humble print statement, and talk about where it falls short. After that, we're going to level up with some much smarter tools, and we'll wrap up by learning the real art, knowing which tool to grab for any kind of bug. Okay, first things first, let's get this straight. Debugging is not a chore. It's not a punishment for writing bad code. Honestly, it's a superpower. It's one of the most fundamental parts of being a good programmer. It's where the real understanding happens. I love this analogy because it's just so perfect. When your code isn't working, it's like your car is making a weird noise. You can't just stare at the outside and guess what's wrong. Debugging is what lets us pop that hood, get our hands dirty, and see exactly what each and every part is doing in there. All right, let's talk about the original gangster of debugging tools, the simple, the humble print statement. For most of us, this is our very first line of defense when things start to go sideways. So, check out this function right here. Super simple. It's supposed to calculate the factorial of 5. Now, you and I know that should be 120, but when we run this code, we get 0, a big fat 0. So, what on earth is going on? This is where print can be a lifesaver. We just add one little line, print, result, right inside that loop to see what's happening. And boom, the problem just jumps right out at us. The output shows that our result variable turns into 0 on the very first pass of the loop. And of course it does. We started it at 0, and anything multiplied by 0 is, well, 0. Just like that, print found our bug in seconds. So you might be thinking, okay, that worked great. If print does the job, what's the big deal? Why do we need anything else? Well, the truth is, as soon as our projects get even a little bit bigger, relying on print starts to become a real headache. And here's why. First, your terminal just gets flooded with output. It's a mess. Second, you have to remember to go back and manually delete all those print statements later. And the biggest problem? There's no context. You just see a value. But which variable was it? Which line of code printed it? You're left guessing. Print just doesn't scale. So, it is time to level up our toolkit. We need something smarter, something that gives us that context we're missing. And that something is a brilliant little library called icecream. I mean, just look at the difference on the screen. On the left, our old print statement just gives us 0. Useless, right? But look at the icecream output on the right. It tells us the name of the variable, result, and then gives us its value, 0. All the context you need with basically the same amount of effort. The advantages here are just huge. Icecream automatically tells you the variable name, the file, the line number. It even makes complex things like dictionaries look pretty. But here's the best part, my absolute favorite feature. You can turn off every single icecream call in your entire project with just one line of code. No more hunting down and deleting print statements. Okay, now it's time for the main event. Let's talk about the interactive debugger. This is the professional-grade tool that gives you absolute, total control over your code's execution. It's less like looking under the hood and more like having a remote control for the entire engine. And it's actually pretty simple to use. First, you set what's called a breakpoint. That's just a little stop sign in your code. Then you run your program in a special debug mode. From there, you can step through your code one single line at a time. You can literally watch every variable change right in front of your eyes. It's like having X-ray vision for your program. But here's where the real magic happens. Conditional breakpoints. This is a total game changer. Instead of stopping every single time, you can tell the debugger, hey, only pause this program if a certain thing happens. Like in our example, we could say, only stop when the result variable is equal to 0. This lets you hunt down those really specific, tricky bugs without wasting any time. So now you have all these powerful tools in your arsenal. Print, icecream, a full-blown debugger.
The question becomes, how do you know which one to use? Well, this is where debugging stops being just a task and starts becoming a real craft.
This little table breaks it all down. Stick with print for those super quick is this part of the code even running sanity checks. Grab icecream when you need that context, especially inside of messy loops or when you're looking at complex data. Fire up the full debugger when you have a really nasty bug and you need to understand the entire flow of your program. And, of course, there's logging, which is what you use to keep an eye on your app once it's out there in the real world. And that's really the key takeaway here. The goal is not to write perfectly bug-free code from the start. Let's be real, that's impossible. The goal is to become a master detective, an expert at finding and squashing bugs. It's about knowing your tools so well that you can pick the perfect one for any situation. So, your debugging toolkit is officially upgraded. You've gone way beyond just print. The next time you're staring at your screen asking, why doesn't my code work? Which tool are you going to reach for first?